Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Light 360. This is Pastor Lan coming to you again from Chicago. I hope you guys are doing great. A lot of things going on right now in the world. Things are going on in Nigeria. The United States is preparing for an election. There's a pandemic that is, ravaging lives and all over the place. 2020 has been a year like no other. So many things just coming together. But in the midst of it all, we thank God because we are alive, and we thank God because we are here, because it's an opportunity to make a difference. So I'm glad to come back to you again today with a Light 360. What an amazing time we had yesterday with our guest. She told her story. It was really, really good. I actually got the book she recommended, overnight, and I've been reading it. It's been a powerful experience for me, and I've been getting some responses from people who have been blessed by what she shared. So this is season 2. We started season 2 in August. Can you imagine? The beginning of August. Now we are in October. Like, we've had so many people come on and share their stories, and it's been very powerful. Today is going to be one with a difference. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I know that it's just going to be a powerful one. I have somebody that is coming on that I'm sure you guys will love. You really love to hear. You probably know her, but you get to know her a little bit more. First of all, let me once again talk about what the purpose of Light 360 is. Why people join. I see people joining us. So those of you joining us, you can just let me know if you want to. Let me know where you are joining us from. That'll be great. We're able to monitor the ones on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Your comments there. I have somebody that'll be looking at the Instagram one for us. But let me know where you are watching from. That'll be great. It's always good to see the cross sections of people that are watching. So as I was saying, the Light 360 is just a very simple broadcast that we put together with the purpose of using stories to inspire other people's stories. So all of us, our lives are actually stories. By the time you live through this life and you get to you live and go to the other side, you know what's going to remain of you? The only thing that will remain of you is the story that you lived and the impact of that story. So there are so many people right now that will read their stories. They've completed their journeys on the earth. They've left stories for us. We read about them. We read about great people that have lived, before us. We interact with them through stories. But the thing is that we don't have to wait until we leave this world before we tell our stories. As I've been saying in this broadcast, one of the greatest gifts, one of our most precious gifts that we have been given is our own life experiences, our stories. So, and if you learn to use it very wisely, if you learn to use it very deliberately, you can actually make a lot of impact. So that's what the Light 360 is based on. We want to hear people's stories, just people like us, and in hearing their stories, we see ourselves in them. We see some of their challenges and triumphs. We see some of their achievements. We just see ourselves, and people that have come on, a lot of people have connected with different stories. So we try to just be here and just be as free, as authentic, and have fun as we can as people tell their stories. But we're calling this series Life on Target. Life on Target. So basically, we're talking about the fact that every one of us is born into this world with a big why. There's a why that for everybody. There's a purpose for everybody. And when you are living, focusing on that why, you are living a life on target. It doesn't mean that you have hit the ultimate target, right? But you are on course. You are like a heat-seeking missile or something. You are seeking, but what you are seeking is that target for your life. So we're bringing people on who are on that journey, who are going after that target that the Creator has in mind for them. So that's what Light 360 is about. And I'm excited today. Hey, come on, because I have someone that is going to be joining us today. She is an amazing young woman. I think I've told her before that, she's one of the most amazing young women that I have met, in life. She's just a wonderful person. I've known her for many years now. I think it's going to probably almost 10 years or so now, or beyond that, that I've known her. When I first met her sister, and then, she became a member of City Light Church, and then, it's been a journey to, when she decided to take things to the next level, to run for the mayor of Chicago and just, expand our calling, our why into just making a difference in the city. And now she's making a difference even beyond the city, in the nation, and in the continent, in Africa, and just beyond. So it's just an amazing story. She's a wonderful lady. She loves God. She walks in purpose. She's a go-getter. She's a very determined, young lady. She goes for what she wants, and she's not scared of nobody. She just goes ahead, and then, and she's very smart. And I love having conversations with her. We've had some conversations over the years that have been very, very, very enlightening. I like, very cerebral discussions, and I like reading her writings. When I was doing my PhD also, she was one of the things she was doing then that inspired the topic of my dissertation. She was then the director at the Austins Coming Together, and she wrote something about collaborations in the community, like an orchestral model. And when I read it, I was like, wow, I want to go further in this. And that's how I, went. That was my dissertation for my PhD, was, based off that. She was on the committee for my doctorate too. She was there when I defended and everything. So, well, so many things to say, but let me bring her on, and then we will continue it. So, please, let's welcome to Light 360, Dr. Amara Enyia. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited and glad. After it's been a while. So
yeah, it's been a while. We've been in Chicago, and it's the world just changed. Everybody's distancing and all that. But of course, we catch up on social media, see all the stuff been going on.
Yes.
I've been seeing you very active on Twitter, especially with the things going on in Nigeria and all that. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that.
Yes.
But before we go into it, I would like to fix something behind me. My TV, still showing pause. So I'm going to fix that. But while I'm doing that, I would like you to just introduce yourself to the audience. So who is Amara?
Sure. So for the audience, Amara, I am most of all a servant, an advocate. Like Pastor Lance said, I live in Chicago, grew up in the Chicago area, daughter of immigrants, come from a very active family, a large family, but very active on the issues that are relevant to the community and issues around justice and really just being able to fight for the things that people deserve. So that's sort of what grounds my work. So I grew up in Chicago. I went to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and I did my undergrad there. I also did law school there, and I finished my PhD there. And while I was there, I really discovered the areas of interest for me were really around issues of education, of law, and in particular international law, and also looking just broadly at issues of equity. and how that factors into people's quality of life. So a lot of my work has really centered on public policy, and that was because public policy is what governs people's life. It determines how we're able to reach our potential, if we're able to reach our potential, and pretty much every aspect of how we live is governed by public policy. And so when we think about how we can have impact and what, the questions that we see around disparity or injustice, or even just the why things are the way they are and refusing to accept why things are the way they are, public policy factors largely into that. So I've been sort of on that course in different ways over the years. I worked in governments. I worked in the mayor's office in Chicago years ago, in the Daley administration, and that gave me sort of this overarching view of all of the issues in the city. From there, I started working as executive director at Austin Coming Together, and also worked at the Austin Chamber of Commerce. And did a lot of grassroots organizing work over the years. So really trying to mobilize communities to be empowered for themselves so that they can really have a say in determining how they will live, how they will exist in Chicago. And so now my work is still keeping an eye on things in Chicago, but it's definitely scaled up nationally and doing a lot of work nationally and internationally. So I'm working with the Movement for Black Lives at the national level as the policy and research coordinator. So we've been involved in pretty much every issue across the board, especially over the last several months. I also started working on the continent, got involved with the African Union and the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is a huge development on the continent. And actually, I got there through the ambassador, the former ambassador to the United States from the African Union, who I was able to connect with, and we were very much aligned and very similar in terms of our passion, and so that's how we got connected. And so that work also continues. So it's been quite a
Wow.
and somewhere in there I ran for mayor, and
that's a lot to for us to break down.
Sure.
You are involved in a lot. You are involved in a lot, and we're going to get into it. So let's backtrack a little bit. So everybody starts from somewhere. You were born in Chicago, right?
Baltimore.
You were born in Chicago? Or
in Baltimore.
In what?
Baltimore.
Oh, in Baltimore. I didn't know that. You're from Maryland. Wow, that's where my wife was born, in Maryland too. Born in Cheverly.
Okay.
So, yeah, right. Wow. So you guys are from the same state. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
When did you come to Chicago?
Well, we were infants, so we were young, very, very young, still babies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so tell me, how was your upbringing? What kind of family, were you brought up in, and how was it growing up?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. Large family, so there are 6 kids. I'm the second to last. I have a twin sister, and 3 boys, 3 girls, even split. Large family, and so the best memories that I have of the upbringing, it was just very well. I mean, we had the space to really play and imagine, and because there's so many of us.
I forgot to mention that you have a twin sister that looks almost exactly like you. So only those who are very close to you guys will be able to say you guys are different. Yeah.
Yes. And that was very fun. That was a very fun part of my upbringing. And actually, I think it factored into our personalities, and my personality is, for the early years, she was definitely the more outgoing of the 2 of us. And so it was very convenient having having a twin. But we, our family was very, like I said, my parents came to the United States. They came from a background of being very active back in Nigeria. So both of my parents were involved in the Civil War in 1967. They were very involved in sort of these demonstrations and organizing against the government when we had dictators up through the 90s. And so we came up in that. So we were at the meetings, the press conferences. I remember my dad, I typed his book, which at the time I was like, what?
That's what my kids are going through right now.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Jesse is doing the Instagram for this thing right now. He's at school, but on the other side, he's working on the Instagram and put it.
Yes, you got to put him to work. That was something big, but also very culturally grounded. So we were, my parents were very emphatic about our culture, the Igbo culture, being connected to the broader Nigerian community. And so that was all of the memories. There were a lot of cultural events being in the community. And then within our household, it was, it's a lot of kids. We all have different personalities. Our parents were very, I can definitely say they were strict back then. So discipline.
I didn't know Daddy was, it doesn't look strict. It's very gentle. I can think of your mom as being very strict.
Yes.
But it looks very,
Oh yeah, now
easy going.
Yeah, now they're very chill, but don't get it twisted. There was a different style that they were using back.
Did you get spanked once in a while?
Yes. Yeah, we did. Yeah. We did. They had to, they had to go there a few times, and but they really, they emphasized just these values, like discipline was a big thing, and reading books and being well read was huge. Education was huge for them, and just the kind of a culture of excellence, like in everything that we did, no matter how small, you had to have sort of that ethic. So, but it was good, very good.
How was home? Like, did you guys have, like, were you reading, just a reading, like book was there, or did you have, how was the structure?
Well, yeah, we were reading, and so I loved to read, it was almost an obsession. I would read anything and everything, and that was just, I don't know why I was like that, but also my parents, anything that we were doing was go and read a book. So, oh, you're sleepy, go and read a book. You're hungry, go and read a book. So that was also
that's a complaint I have in my house right now.
Yeah, it's like,
you want something, you have to read a book to qualify. You want internet, you have to read a book to qualify for it.
Yes. So it was that was the big pastime. Of course, we weren't allowed to watch TV. So we didn't really get exposure in that sense. And then, things like radio was fairly limited until we got older, like high school. So it was a very, I guess it was insular, I could say, where our activities were, we were either reading or we were playing outside. That was pretty much it. Like, we were reading outside of school, we were either reading or playing outside, or just coming up with things, when there's 6 of us, coming up with our own games, our own activities to keep ourselves amused. And then if we could sneak and watch TV every now and then, we were trying to do that too.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned culture, like your dad, really insisted on you learning the culture, exposed you. What's the importance of that? What role has that played in your life now? And what would you say to some of us raising up kids in this place? And, we're far away from our culture.
No, it was huge. It still is. So we were involved in our dance group for traditional dances. So when we were young, we'd have to learn traditional dances. We had Igbo language school. So that's how we were able to learn the language, even cooking our food. Well, we learned that at home. And they made sure that we were just tied to the Nigerian community and the Igbo community, especially. So we were always on the north side of Chicago, in the Uptown Rogers Park area for the meetings, the parties, all of our extracurricular activities were cultural. And I think they really wanted to impress upon us the values, like the cultural values that we had, because those were the values that we lived by. So, and I think now it's as important a part of my life now, and probably even more so as an adult, where I've been able to do an even deeper dive into the cultural tenets of what it means to be Igbo. And that has actually informed my political perspective. It informs my policy perspective. They're actually grounded in those cultural norms and values. And, you know, in this society, it can be difficult because, you know, we went to school and you have the one way of being in school. And the school was, at least my elementary school, was predominantly Black, predominantly African-American. And then it was a much more diverse going into middle school and high school. But being culturally grounded, I think, was important to help navigate in those subsequent years where, you know, you want to fit in, you know, you don't want to be different. I mean, we have so many stories of what it was like, because we used to, for example, have accents. Like I used to have an accent.
I can't believe that you did.
Yeah, it's not an accent. I don't know, but yeah, we used to have the accent, and even my hair was actually, in fact, I have the thread now in my hair, which is, you know, that's how we used to wear it back home. Yeah, actually.
Wow.
Back in the day.
You know,
yes. Yes, I even got the thread from Nigeria, from home. But back when we were younger, it was, those things made you stand out and they made you different. And so as a young person in a culture, growing up in this sort of bicultural, sometimes it's very uncomfortable. So, but the cultural grounding definitely was appreciated as I got older, being able to understand the culture and being able to connect to it. And then as an adult, it was like, I'm really glad that they were so enthusiastic and so firm about us really knowing the culture.
Did you go through a phase where, you know, I've had a lot of people talk about that, and my kids have even talked about it, where you are at school and then you have the African Americans, you have the white, you have all that, and then you're an African, you have this long name, you know, that people cannot pronounce. And then you just like, did you go through that kind of identity stuff, you know, before you eventually found,
Yeah, I did.
Where somebody said they remember you and your sister's afros.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You have afro.
Yes. So before it became a thing, you know, we did some things that were before their time. At the time. So for us, it was kind of more difficult, because once it becomes popular, it's like, oh, everyone's on the bandwagon. But before, you're the only one, and, you know, just kind of out on that limb. And I think that was, you know, a lot of the growing up experience was definitely, you know, the cultural difference. I mean, I know the point, I can remember the exact time when I knew my identity and was comfortable with it, and I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And I remember that's the moment, that there was a moment I was at school where everything just clicked, and I fully accepted that I wasn't African American. I wasn't, you know, African American. That I had this, you know, sort of dual identity.
Yeah.
I was very, very happy and comfortable with being Igbo, having that dual citizenship, having that dual identity. But that didn't prevent me from going through the teasing and, you know, for my hair. I used to have my hair short back in the day, because back home, you know, you wear the low haircut until 11, 12, 13. So of course, my mom, you know, my hair was cut low, and I mean, that was just, they had a heyday of teasing because of that. And, you know, understanding the African culture. I mean, we got called all the names in the book about being African, and it was all these negative connotations. So we went through all of that, and it takes time to come out on the other side and be like, yeah, I'm actually very pleased about to be African, and I accept it and I embrace it. But I think most first generation and kids who, they're gonna go through that.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of people don't know that people think that you are an extrovert, like most people that know you. But I know you very well. People know that you're an introvert, very shy to yourself. You want to just be somewhere inside, go out and do something and come back. But a lot of people don't know that.
Yes,
So,
you know the truth.
yeah, that's the same thing with
yeah,
me.
inside scoop.
They don't know. They see me talking outside and all that, but they have no idea that I am just looking for escape. Like the time I'm going to escape, I just be by myself. So
Yes.
yeah. So yeah, but growing up with that, I know, from our talk and all that conversation that you are very introspective, like you are, like quiet and all that, and you process things within yourself. So with all that going on, what was that doing in you? Like, I just want to know, the whole process of finding identity, finding culture, settling on it. How was it affecting you, like mentally? Like your growth. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely being. So I definitely was in my head a lot, and so I think a couple of things. One, I think being very introspective helped me to really know myself better. There's, everything should be balanced, but I think spending so much time by myself, not really opening myself up to a lot of the distractions that can come in and start to pull your attention in different ways. I think it actually helped me to really know who I am better and how I'm situated in the world better. And that, I think, prevented me from, it allowed me to operate with a level of authenticity and to actually embrace who I am, that this is what I look like, this is what I sound like, this is my cultural background, and to actually embrace and accept and build on those things as core to what makes me me. And to realize that I don't really want to try to be anything outside of this core.
Yeah.
I think it helped. It helped me in that sense. It comes with its own set of challenges when you're doing work that either you're called to do or that's aligned with your purpose. You have to make adjustments, and there's some sacrifice involved. And sometimes it felt like there was a misalignment between what I felt I was called to do and my personality.
Yeah.
And I had to navigate that. And that was pretty difficult.
Yeah, I know that. So I'm sure being a reader, like you loved to read, if you were going to tell the story of your life, you'd probably be able to tell of books that you read that, maybe launched you into something new in life and all that. For me, I could tell that. I could talk about one of the first books that really stirred me up to leadership and a lot of things was My Early Life by Winston Churchill. My dad just insisted, you have to read this book. And it was a very boring book of all the, but you just have to read this book. He had it in the house. So I went to read it. And, it was Winston Churchill talking about, how his teenage years and everything. It made a lot of impact on me. I know you've told me before about A Wrinkle in Time.
Yes.
Right, that, you read that book, when you were younger. What are the books that impacted you growing up?
Oh man, there's so many. Definitely A Wrinkle in Time. That book I read maybe when I was maybe 10 or 11 years old, and it just stuck with me for some reason. And at the time, I didn't know, because at 11 years old, what are you really getting out of the books that you're reading? So, but there were some passages in it that really spoke to me when I was young. And then I came back to that book as an adult a few years ago, when I think it was right before I was running for mayor again. And I just had this feeling like I needed to read this book. And when I read it again as an adult, it just hit me in a completely different way. And there were passages about light and darkness. The light shines in the darkness cannot comprehend it. And I remember when I saw that passage again in the book as an adult, I remembered that I had seen it, that always stuck with me when I was a child. And I didn't even realize, even though I should have, that it was in the Bible, that there's a verse that talks about the light shines in the darkness and the darkness cannot comprehend it. I didn't even connect that dot.
Yeah.
So it just had a profound effect on me, because I've always been, thought about like light. Like I've believed in light as a thing, as a way of being, and what it means to navigate in dark spaces and to navigate in, whether in Rico and Tom, they were on a dark planet. And you could feel that darkness, and what it means to actually have to go into darkness and be light.
Yeah.
So that really stuck with me when I was young and when I was older. Other books that really stuck with me, The Chronicles of Narnia. I mean, I know, there are these like academic books, but I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I read and every other book in that series, and it just opened up my eyes in a way that,
for some reason, we're having some issues with your video. Like your internet is fluctuating. I don't know. Our audience, can you see it here clearly? Maybe I'm the one having the problem. But if you guys if you can let us know if you can hear clearly, that would be good. It's like you were breaking in and out.
Okay.
Yeah. So you mentioned we could hear you, right? Put it together, but it was like there were some breaks in there. So you talked about the Chronicles of Narnia. You were talking about that.
Yes, that's C.S. Lewis. So it's I believe 8 books in the series. And in fact, I just a couple months ago bought the full set. It's all in one book.
I did that too. Actually, I actually have it right here in my library. Plus, I love all C.S. Lewis's writing. I have his writings, and also J.K. J.K. Rowling's. Yes, also his books too. Yeah. Okay. So they said it was choppy briefly, but they can't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
So I think those two were very important for me, but also I read Achebe, Things Fall Apart. And that, when I first read that, it spoke to so many things about culture, about what happened at home, about modernity and what that actually means. Just so it really resonated. So Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe is one of the most important. And then 1984 and Animal Farm.
Yes.
Those two were absolutely key.
The interesting thing, I went to pick my copy of Animal Farm some days ago. Sorry, no, not Animal Farm, 1984, some days ago.
Yeah.
Like I need to review these things. Like, this is coming to pass, right? In front of my eyes, Big Brother and all this.
Yeah. So I would say those are hugely influential.
Okay. Very good. Wow. No, I can see, because what you read when you are young actually plays a lot in how you form your philosophy for life. Like those, I can trace like what you do right now into all those, like, for example, Animal Farm alone will give you a mindset for revolution, and also how even a revolution can be taken over, and then people are equal. Some animals are equal, but some are more equal than others.
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
I know that. Yeah. So I can see that. Good. So we're making progress. So let's talk about your spiritual journey. I know that from our conversation, you, of course, you were born in a Christian family. Your dad and your mom, they are powerful, but you went through your journey.
Yeah.
Before you finally settled. Of course, you are still on the journey. Tell us about how was that?
Well, so it really, growing up, obviously, we didn't have much choice, which is fine. I mean, we came up and, parents are very deep in the faith. But one thing is that I know that they also encouraged us to study other faiths and other philosophies. And I remember my dad actually saying, how do you know what you believe if you've never challenged your belief? And if you haven't actually studied anything else, how do you even know that you really believe that thing? And so that was very encouraging to me, to just have the flexibility. Once we were, once I was out of the house, once I had escaped, to actually really go through a process that was more organic and that made sense. And so actually, even when I started going to City Life, I had not been in anyone's church for a while, maybe for a number of years. But I knew it was like, okay, this is definitely where I'm supposed to. I just had a feeling, like, and I'm big about my gut feeling. So I knew this is where I was supposed to be. And, the process has been really, it's quite a process. To me, it has to feel aligned with, like, it has to feel right. Like, I don't believe in doing things like the going through the motions, or sort of
and all that. Yeah,
exactly.
To be real and very practical.
Yes. And so that was, being comfortable enough to say, I'm just going to, like, it has to be authentic, caused me to really unpack what are the moments where I felt the spirituality the most. And it's always been if I was out in a natural setting, out in nature, on a mountain, in the woods somewhere.
In the desert, in the bush.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. It was always in those natural settings. Like, that's where I knew, like, I could just feel I felt beyond just this physical whatever that we're in. And so then I had to say, okay, what is it about these settings that allows me to connect in a way that I don't necessarily do in a building, or in a classroom, or in a church building, and so on and so forth. And that really took me down a path to really connecting the natural as the manifestation of the divine.
Yep.
And once that clicked for me, it was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you came, we were having discussions all through this. We've discussed this, over the years, and right conclusion, because I tell people, and I said it recently in church too, that the revelations of God to us, God speaks to us in different ways. The primary revelation of God to us, we say in written form, but nature is there, even in the written form, that the whole of God's attribute, that's in Romans chapter 1, that the whole of God's attributes can be known by the things, the things that are seen in nature.
Yes.
So nature is one of the ways that we explore God. It's one of his revelation. It used to be called, natural revelation, or it used to be called natural theology too. And the Bible says, Psalm 19 also says the same thing, that the sun, the moon, and all that all of them are declaring the glory of God. So I also enjoy nature. It's like, there's a frequency at which nature vibrates. It's especially when you're far away from the city, yes, that it's very close to God's frequency.
Yes.
And then you just find yourself entering into some realms.
Yes.
So that's one revelation of God. And then we have the revelation of God in the book. Then we have the revelation of God in the person of Jesus Christ. So you have to combine both. I tell people, I say, science is not contradictory to the Bible. The Bible is not a scientific book. The Bible answers some questions that science can never answer. Where are we? Where are we going? What's the purpose of life? How do you find fulfillment and all that? That's what science. That's what the Bible does. It doesn't answer scientific questions. Science answers scientific questions. It's an exploration, and it's still an ongoing exploration, because Look at us using computers and all this stuff right now and all these things that we're doing. They've been there since for thousands and thousands and millions of years or whatever. You think they've been there, but we're just discovering it. There's still so much more that we're still going to discover. So I just wanted to say that to what you were talking about, like nature is part of God's revelation to us. Yeah.
Yes. No, that's absolutely it. And I think coming to that conclusion at that point in the journey was pivotal, because then it allowed me to it just opened up my mind in a way to see spirituality in a much more broad sense.
Yeah.
And gave me the room to be able to express faith in different ways and to receive whatever I'm getting, ways that feel authentic and feel very real. So it actually helped to solidify my faith and my belief.
What was it about City Light? You know, you said it was a film, but what was it about City Light that when you came, you know, and you just let me stay here? Well, I'm curious to know.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely the gut feeling. It was a gut feeling, but also I think it made sense for me because it was very focused on individuals. Like it wasn't overly formulaic as churches can be. They can be very regimented. There are denominations that are very rigid and hierarchical, and this is, you know, and that was never going to work for me. Yeah. So I think it was more organic. It was focused on individuals' potential and then what you can do as a collective. Yeah. And those things really resonated. And then it just, you know, like people were people. They weren't empty vessels to, you know, they weren't just like empty vessels or widgets, if you will. And I think that really resonated with me as well.
Very good. Awesome. All right. So let's continue the journey. So the spiritual journey continued. You got to that point. So where did that lead you? Like, you know, spiritually and everything, how that informs everything you do right now and your life?
Yeah. So it definitely helped me to navigate. It helped me to navigate life. And to be honest, it informs your way of being. At least for me, it informs my way of being. And so one of the things that it helped me to connect to was actually now going back culturally and looking at Igbo culture. We have Omenala or Odinani, which it's the culture of the land, basically. And it's very centered on nature. It's very centered on what we would call the laws of nature, I guess. But also it's how you live. It's the things that you do that are edifying, the things that you do that bring goodness, the things that you do that are good for the community, good for the collective. And so there was a lot of alignment actually with those values, and they govern how I live, being much more centered on the good of the collective as opposed to just my individual well-being or individual advancement. Believing in, you know, I'm very big on environmental justice issues, and the environment is a big issue for me, and land and how we take care of it and how we steward. The notion of abundance and coming from approaching life through a lens of abundance as opposed to a lens of scarcity, that actually is a primary foundation for my policy work. Because if we believe that the universe is abundance for us, then there's no reason why anyone should go without, why we should have homelessness, why we should have people who are experiencing poverty or any of those things. And so those values now they turn into things that actually guide my decision making and guide what I put my time and my energy into. And that's even up to today, like, and even more so now than in the past.
Very good, very good. So in terms of your relationship with Jesus Christ and all that, how are you guys?
I am cool. You
guys are BFFs and
well, I would honestly say that, it's just an evolving thing. One of the things that was very revelatory to me was recognizing that life is going to be difficult, and navigating and having a relationship or being a spiritual person does not eliminate
Doesn't
the
insulate you from
difficulties.
the troubles of
Exactly,
life.
exactly. And that was a hard lesson. That was I'm still salty a little.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know listening to you. People see like people that do stuff that you do right out there and all that. They see you as this. You are. They'll probably say this girl doesn't have any problem. That she's just her life is just her life is just together, and she's chasing, doing all this amazing stuff and all. But I know otherwise, right? Because we talk, and of course, because all of us, I know that, you've had to go through some very difficult, situations and going through, but you've been able to use your faith, your prayer and all that, to navigate that. Talk about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, where to begin? No, but it definitely helped me to navigate, because one, just because you might be clear on your purpose, but it doesn't, your purpose to me is not a position. It's not a job. It's not, it's actually whatever gifts that you've been given from birth.
Yeah.
However that manifests can look any number of different ways at any particular point in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes staying aligned with that purpose means that you have to sacrifice in other places, even if you don't, you might have to make sacrifices. So for a long part of my career early on, so I had worked in government, but then when I knew I was leaving government, I was leaving the mayor's office, I knew that I was going to work at the grassroots level. Like, I just knew that. I felt that this was what I was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And for anyone who's worked in organizing as either an organizer or activist, or doing community work, it's not lucrative.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know that.
The
first time I visited your house, well, I don't want to call it a house.
Yes,
what do you want to use for that place?
I don't know. My little abode, my space.
Your space.
My space. That's the best way to characterize it.
Like, oh wow, this is where the great Amara lived.
Yes. Nobody would believe it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, my colleagues, I have a law degree, I have a PhD. So I was doing all of this at a time where I could have easily just gone to any law firm and made the six figures, or gone to any company and made a lot of money, but that feeling like it wouldn't allow me to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So meanwhile, I have colleagues who they went off and did, their things, and they're, in condos by the lake, they're, on the boat, and meanwhile, I'm, sitting in somebody's, some basement building at a community meeting trying.
Tell me about it, when I finished engineering and all that, and some of my friends, they went into oil companies, Schlumberger and all that. They're just racking all the money and all that. I'm like, man, this pastor stuff. But
yeah, I know all too well. But it's really, it was a challenge. I was glad, I did the work because I wanted, and it was fulfilling. And I knew, there's a peace that you have when you're aligned with your purpose. So even though it's like, oh, this is hard, but that this is where you're supposed to be and this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And that helps to navigate, but it still definitely was hard because, financially it was just extremely difficult.
Yeah.
You do a lot of personal sacrificing. You give a lot of your time and energy. And it's just very grueling work. And so doing that for years, I mean, it's hard. And then just thinking, the other thing is just because, and this is where my spiritual life really had to kind of step in, is just because you're doing things for the right reasons and just because you are rightly motivated and you might be in a righteous cause, it doesn't mean that people are going to treat you the way that you think you deserve to be treated. It doesn't mean that you won't run into shady people. It doesn't mean that you won't get lied on, talked about, made fun of. I mean, those are all things that I experienced.
Yeah, I remember when during the campaign when they published, is it a Tribune or something published, or is it taxes or something like?
Yes. I mean, I was reading the article like, who are they talking about? But like, what is going on?
You learn from, I tell people about all this political stuff that please don't believe a lot of the media. I'm sorry to say it. I know you also, you also too, but a lot of things that you read is just fiction and with an agenda. Because I read that because I knew we've talked about all those stuff, and I read that thing. I was like, they are describing a totally different person.
Yes, I was like, what? That was one of the lessons and just part of the challenges of the experience and that's why you have to know who you are in your core.
Yeah.
Because everyone else will have a narrative that they'll want to put on you, or they'll have a box that they want to put you in. I found that they had a preconceived narrative that they've been used to because of how politics is in Chicago and Illinois. And so they, instead of writing honestly, they want to put you in a narrative that they've already drafted. And that can be very unfair. And so if you're not grounded and know who you are, you might find yourself either getting very, derailed by those sorts of things, or just changing yourself in an attempt to get legitimacy in their eyes.
Yeah.
And that to me is very, there are many times where I could have started tweaking things. Let me just tweak my name. Let me tweak how I talk. Let me hide my background economically. But at the end of the day, all of those experiences are qualifiers for why I'm even here right now in this particular position. And so I had to actually lean on those things that would be considered deficits to them or to the outside world. I had to lean on them and own them and say, actually, this gives me a particular lens that no one else has that I can offer in this work that I'm seeking to do.
Yeah, very good, very good. So you chose the path of community empowerment and all that, rather than go to the law firms and all that. I'm sure you regret it now. Just joking. Especially when the compliment is due, you're like, like, did I? What happened to me? What entered into my head when I did that? But then, of course, something will happen again. Be like, no, inside of it, this is what I'm supposed to do. Especially when you see the impact and you're just in your zone and in your element. So I understand that. I understand it. Great spirit. So let's go in another direction now. So I want us to really delve into this your passion for policy, for changing communities and all that. But before we move into that, I would like you to talk about the Leading Lights training, because you participated in the Leading Lights training, and I remember very, very clearly. I told you, I was like, come for it and all that. Bro, it's okay, all right. I said, okay, I'll do it. And then so we started, and then something happened. I think it was I don't know whether it was a Saturday night or whatever, that we're doing the principles for life and all that, and character and all that. And we're like, wow, my eyes just opened to something. Just tell me about the Leading Lights. What it was for you?
Yeah. So even the timing of doing the Leading Lights training, it happened at the right time. And this is after having put it off, and sort of like putting it on the back burner. But when I actually did end up doing the training, it couldn't have come at a better time. And I think what really came out of that is it just helped to crystallize so many things that before the training were just nebulous. Like you might know them in a very casual way, or understand things in a very casual way. Something like, what are the values that guide your life? What principles do you stand on?
Yeah.
What even breaking down what constitutes who you are,
Yeah.
what drives you, what are your interests. A lot of times, if you don't go through that kind of guided process, like with the training, you have a casual understanding of it, or you think about it, but
And
if
it is scattered understanding, it helps you to all put it together. I remember we put it in your name too. I remember at the age, I can still remember that I would say you are an agitator, like you can't, and an activist,
yes,
and then a maven, and then I think the R is a ruler,
yes,
I think I can remember up to that, yeah.
Yes, yeah. It really helped to crystallize things in a way that just gives you even more clarity, so that as you're moving, you have a more impetus in how you move, because you have that clarity about who you are and why you're doing what you're doing. And that makes a huge difference in your ability to have impact in the spaces in which you're operating in.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that thing. What is when you say this is my why? If you want to tell me my purpose in life, my why, as far as you know it now, what will you say it is?
Well, I would say that my why. So there's two things. One is definitely service. It's service. That's at the end of the day, no matter what I'm doing, it's always to serve some greater issue or cause, or be of help or of use in some way. But also it's a disruptor. I've never been in a space, or I'll say I've always gone into spaces but had to change that space. So I don't conform in any space. When I go into a space, that space must change in some ways, or it's building something from scratch, building something from the ground up. So even when I look back at my work experience, and I think I did this exercise in the training.
The shape analysis,
and I was like, wait a minute, I always have to go in somewhere and either build something from the ground up, or deconstruct and reconstruct, or there's some kind of status quo that needs to be changed. It needs to be disrupted. That's been the story of my entire life, really, and definitely career. So now what that did is it made me comfortable knowing that, okay, I don't usually conform to a space when I get into it, and I have to be okay with that. And any entity or organization or company or person that I engage, you're going to know if you're calling me for something, it's not because you're trying to maintain things as they are. It's because you either want to enhance it, to grow it, to innovate, to make it better, to make it more equitable, more fair, more just. It's going to be something like that. So now when I engage, I can just, and I know. So now we can both, I can just do what I do. And that was a process, but I think the training helped to clarify.
It's a tough thing that you do, and somebody said when you get to the top, you become a topic. Well, that's one of the worst things. You become a topic, and I know. I mean, I'm saying all this because I want people to really know you. I mean, I've seen you cry, weep, and people see you outside and all that. I want to ask you a question. How do you muster up the strength, to do those things? Like, tell me what's crazy. What made you so crazy to run for mayor of Chicago? Where did that crazy idea come from? Because I remember it was the service. After one service, I think I preached on the narrow road, like, take the narrow road that leads to life. And you came to meet me afterwards, it's like, Pastor Lad, today I don't know what I want to do. I think tell me that, okay. I'm going to start a non-profit. Like, I'm going to be running for the mayor of Chicago.
Yep. Yeah, I remember very well.
What is behind that?
Man, I would say a big part of what allowed me to move forward, because it was really out of the blue, out of character, out of this world in terms of what I would normally in myself ever decide to do. And even now, looking back, having done it twice, like, man, how did
What?
yeah.
Who bewitched me?
Man, yeah. It's like, what came over me? What spell was I under? But I think it's knowing that, like, I always say, like, I trust my gut. I trust my gut. And I believe that when I say my gut, that's just a layman's terms for exactly, like, knowing when there's something that you're supposed to do. And I pay attention to that and I take it seriously because I believe there's a reason for that feeling. The thing about it is you have to be in tune enough to know that. And a lot of times when we live, we spend so much time catering to other people's ideas and expectations and norms and what they think. And so you're not even in tune enough with yourself to really know what you think, or when you're getting that feeling that this is something you're supposed to do. Yeah. And so because I knew that this was something, I was so convinced that this was something I was supposed to do, it became something that I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to live knowing that I didn't do this thing. And also, if we believe that our lives aren't just for ourselves, and I believe that, like, even service, everything that I have is not for me to just amass personal wealth and become famous or whatever. Yeah. It's supposed to be used for a particular purpose. Okay. But I also had to surrender ideals that I had in my mind to say, okay, well, if this is what it's supposed to be, okay, well, then I have to do it. But again, even knowing all of that, it doesn't make it easier. Like, it did not make it easy for me. Just talking about, like, the personality issue, not personality issues, just my personality.
Personality, your introverted personality.
Yeah. It's just, it was excruciating.
I remember those days that you would say, you know what, like, you are home, you know, like, you would be out there, then you get home, like, there's nobody.
Man, I would have to just, like, sit in a dark room, you know, for hours. Even before forums, you know, when we were campaigning, we had all these forums. And there were times when I would sit in the car, you know, before you go into the building or whatever, just with my head on my lap. I just would sit, like, to try to muster up the energy and to be able to go and have to talk. And then not even just the talking, but then having to talk to people afterward and all of the engaging, like, all that energy. You know, people just, I don't think that they really understand how draining it is and how difficult it is to exist 100% outside your comfort zone all the time.
Wow, that is powerful. 100% outside your comfort zone all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
That's tough.
It's something that even now I think that's something that there are things that I want to pursue down that path, because I just think we're most resistant to existing out of our comfort zone. We don't even like, you know, we don't like to be too cold. We don't like to be, you know, unhappy. We like to be comfortable. But I also think that that's the thing that doesn't allow us to grow. And so the experiences over the last few years pushed me out so far of my comfort zone, but it forced me to grow in ways that I never would have had I not gone down that path.
Yeah, very good. So some people will say to you, they'll say, okay, you ran for mayor twice and they will call it a failure, you know. They'll say, oh, and you failed. That what, you know, why did you go into it? Maybe God is, oh, I don't want to get in because I'm a politician. I don't want to spoil your brand. So maybe your gut was wrong, you know, and that. But you said something right now. You talked about the fact that having gone through that has made you stronger, even for some of the things that you are doing now and other things that you are going to do. People think, now when you told me that you were going to run for mayor, I knew it was a huge task. I remember, I don't know if you remember that first conversation. It was in the green room there and you said it. And I just, how about all that man first?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
But when you said it, the way you said it, the way you said it, it was like, when they say David went to meet Saul, right? Say, I want to fight Goliath. I want to go fight Goliath. I want to go fight Goliath. And Saul was like, you're small, you're a baby. That guy has been trained from war. I just felt that way because I felt that there was just something on you, that was going to confront that. And I knew that the worst that could happen is even if you don't become mayor, you're not going to fail backward. You're going to fail forward.
Yes.
I remember when the first campaign ended, I remember that long conversation we had, we talked about Abraham Lincoln and all that. I remember that day very well, when that one. But I just want you to talk about how you have, quote and unquote, failed forward. How taking that step has broadened your horizon and has increased your influence and for, your opportunities for impact that you are pursuing now.
Yeah, so it definitely has. I think one of the things that helped me is that I don't think linearly. So a lot of times here people think input, output, do this, this is the equation, this is the answer, this is the way. And I've never thought that way. That I think there's a constellation of potential outcomes based upon the decisions that we make. And so success to me is not in this particular outcome. Now, obviously the goal is to win, and that would have been a good outcome based upon the goals that I had going in. But we have to think about success in different terms. So success for me, the win was actually deciding to do it, because I could easily have just been like, for all of these reasons, don't do it. But now how I'm positioned now actually affirms that actually getting into the seat was probably the lowest rung of possible outcomes, good outcomes from the campaign. And what it did for me as far as my internal growth and development, and then external opportunities extended far beyond what I would have been able to do, even if I had actually won the seat. And quite frankly, looking at 2020, I
don't want to be this.
I'm not complaining. I mean, yeah, but it did. I would definitely say that internally, the challenges, like I came out, a very challenging experience where, everything, getting attacked, getting people lying, having all kinds of drama that I never would have accepted or been privy to had I not run. Things that forced me to go back inside and have to, really figure out how to exist in that context. Because people don't understand, like when you're in the spotlight, and when you go through like publicly getting lied on and all of that sort of thing, that's not, especially for someone who, one, you're doing it for a good cause.
Yeah, you just want to make it. You just want to help people.
Exactly. You're just trying to help people. It's like, what about this? What is this?
Can you just let me help people?
Yes.
Why do I have to do all this?
Yes. That's exactly how it is. You're like, what is all of this? But what it did is I actually could have gone down the path of becoming bitter, and I also know that I could be very callous. I know that about my personality. Like there's a part that I never cater to, and I just keep, in the very, very back, because I could be very callous. I could be very stoic, and I know I can, there's a sword that I can bring out and just slice and dice. But what kind of person would that lead me to become? So there was a point in time where I could have become that. I could have I could have like lambasted people. I could have put people on blast. I could have, I could have just been in the mix, and no one, people probably would have said, "Oh, yes, justified." Oh, after they did that to her, oh,
She went through betrayal, even in your own camp.
Oh my goodness!
Campaign and everything.
Inside, internally, and that.
Yeah.
But on January 1st, 2018, the prophecy that I got was "Beware of snakes."
Yeah.
And that was before anything happened.
Yeah.
When it all was said and done, I was like, what? All of these things? Like,
I didn't know I was living in a separate world.
Man, I was like, I had no clue that the level that prophecy that I received out of the blue, that how it was going to be filled to the very closest people that I had relied on. That kind of betrayal, that kind of just bizarre, kind of experience.
Yeah.
And again, it could have made me become I could have become a very hard and a very callous person and bitter.
Yeah.
But actually what happened is it made me more compassionate. It actually made me more understanding. It made me more compassionate in a way that I would not have been before if nothing had happened. I mean, I was always a nice person.
Yeah.
But the ability to see humanity in people actually was increased. And that principle, which actually is the principle of grace, that I remember we did a retreat. I think it was a retreat in 2014.
January retreat.
Yes. And I had said that, and I knew, like, I think the question was like, what was the word or something for the year? But I knew even when I said that, because I said grace, and I knew that was like an era term. It wasn't like just for the year. It was just something that was going to be very important. And also my name. So this was connected to, like, my name means divine grace.
Yeah.
And so that principle of grace emerged over the last year or two.
Yeah.
Of both for myself, but also for other people. And to be able to be a good servant, you have to recognize the humanity in people, and you can't allow, even when you've been wronged or when you've been harmed or hurt, you can't allow that to make you to lower your frequency or to dim the light that you have or to become what they are. You have that grace allows you to still treat them in a way that to treat them humanely and to not become sort of dark, or you start to basically erode because of it. And it was only because of that experience over the hardships that I was able to become that kind of person, to kind of evolve into a more compassionate person. I wouldn't have done that otherwise.
Yeah. I tell people this. I said, on the job, in life, whatever you are doing now, it's not just what you are getting out of it that matters or what you are achieving, but the most important thing is who you are becoming.
Yes.
Because you can lose what you get out of it, you can lose what you achieve, but you can never lose who you are.
Yes.
So that's the greatest value in whatever we go through, who we are becoming, because that can never be taken away from us. That can be moved into other, spheres, and, just you find yourself doing, even more just because you have become that person. So what happened was that campaign or those campaigns made you into that kind of a person that you are describing now, learning to forgive, learning, just even understanding how people are, it was just growth. It was growth. And that's the person, that's who came out of it. And that's the joy of it. That's the result of it. But that person who came out still continues to live life, continues working in her why, and is going to take those experiences and who she has become for the next thing that she's going to do.
Yes.
So that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely it. And and on the other side, the opportunities that came along were, they've been fitting. They, you become more comfortable in navigating, because the pathway sort of, you just walk with a certain level of confidence. Not that everything's going to be perfect, not that the heavens are going to open up and all of a sudden you know, this pot of gold is going to drop for all your troubles. You know, none of that. But a certain level of sensitivity, like I see things differently. I connect dots differently. When I meet people, I'm able to really, there's a discernment, a level of discernment that I have now that's very, very honed. And so the opportunities that avail themselves, I'm able to take advantage of. And they've actually worked. Like, you know, for a lot of people, they would say, oh, the success was if you won or not. But I wouldn't have moved and started doing more international work if I were, you know, in the city, you know, doing a budget address today, telling people how I'm going to find $2 billion.
Don't pay for the benefit.
Yeah.
Talk about the international thing. So from that, you moved on. You started working with the African Union. I remember there was a time we were chatting. You were in Africa.
Yes.
You went to, is it Niger, or where did you go?
Yes, Niger and Ethiopia.
Ethiopia and all that for the African Union. What is that all about?
So interestingly, I always, you know, I always knew I wanted to contribute on the continent because there's so much happening on the continent. And so I ended up getting connected to the ambassador to the African Union, from the African Union to the United States. We were very much aligned and very much connected. And so it was through her that I got connected to the AU. It just so happens that the AU had the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which establishes the entire continent as one trading bloc, the largest behind the WTO. It's the biggest development on the continent since the wave of independence in the 60s. And they just so happen to be doing that at this time. And so the work is around economic policy. It's around trade policy. It's around self-sufficiency on the continent and the infrastructure for countries to actually work collectively. It was everything that in my other life, before I was so focused in Chicago, I was very much a part of and enthusiastic about. And so I got plugged in through that, got connected to the AU, started working, doing a lot of work around the AFCFTA, and got, you know, traveled back to the continent, still now have connections there, where the rollout for the AFCFTA is in January. So that's in Ghana. So provided, however, everything turns out with the pandemic, we'll be back then traveling and being able to work on the implementation phase. And I would never have gotten a chance to do that had things gone a different way. I also ended up getting into the London School of Economics. They have a special program that's for professionals, people who are experienced, who've worked in cities. So a lot of them are former mayors, or they've worked with their national government or ministers. And the whole program is designed to solve the problems of cities around the world, and then to go to those places and implement the solutions that you come up with within this cohort. Didn't even know it existed before last year. But because, again, just these opportunities that avail themselves, I ended up getting, they ended up bringing me into this program, and which now allows me to work in any international setting for any city or any NGO of my choice after this, you know, 2 years that we're together doing all this problem solving work. That's like ideal for me. And I never would have had that opportunity, because me running for mayor actually is what put me on their radar. So they're actually like, oh, we're talking about cities. This is she just ran for mayor. She has a bunch of experience in municipalities. Perfect fit. And it's a very exclusive program. So it puts me, when we wrapped up the campaign last year, there was two things that I was telling a couple of people on the team when we were doing a debrief. And I said, I want to do more national work. I want to do more international work, because I've been focused on Chicago for all this time. That's two things. I don't know what that's going to look like. Don't know what that's going to entail. But that's what I said, like right after the campaign. So maybe like March of 2019. And then when you fast forward, those are the things that I'm doing now. And even beyond, like we were talking about city policy, but now who would have imagined scaling up to work at the continental level, where you're being able to do things for the entire continent? It's
amazing.
yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, you are a city light. You are a leading light. International. I'm so excited about that and proud of that. I always talk about it. You traveled. I know, like, everything is just coming together, because before you even went, went for the mayor run, you had traveled to many nations.
Yes,
right? All
most.
around the world.
Yeah, almost every continent, and probably most countries in every continent. I was all over the place.
Yes. There was something inside of you, about the world generally, and it's all coming together. Like,
Yes.
from what you did in Chicago, what you did before, your professional training, your spiritual awakening, just everything is coming together for impact in the world. I've been, seeing all the things you've been posting on Twitter regarding what's going on in Nigeria right now.
Yeah.
Talking to it and people responding and all that. Let's quickly do that, and then we will start rounding up. So let's go into some policy and politics.
Yeah.
Of course, we talk. That we have some differences in thinking.
Yeah.
Some, like, I'm more conservative than you are, but we flow. We talk. We have we enjoy when we talk and talk politics. So just do a scan of the world right now. What's the big picture? What's going on in the world?
Man, there's disruption that's happening. There's disruption, and disruption in moments of reckoning. But I will say, and that's everything from our environment with the wildfires on the West Coast to the hurricanes, to floods and happening around the world, to politically. I mean, we have our election coming up. Who knows what in the world is going to happen with that?
I was talking to the pastors of City Light. I said, I'm going to make the announcement in church on Sunday. Everybody just get some water, a lot of water, food, pack some things in your house, I will go beyond that, just because we don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know what's going to happen.
Just make sure that you and your loved one, you have enough food and water.
Yes, for a few months. But it's up in the air. And even looking in Bolivia, for example, they elected the socialist Evo Morales, who no one would have thought that would have happened. So it's around the world. There is these moments of reckoning. We had the uprisings around the world over the summer after the murder of George Floyd, on issues that people have been screaming from the rooftops for years, never caught hold. But this year, now people are like, oh my goodness, this is a thing. And so Nigeria, I think, is the latest. And, I just, that place, I would not have predicted, but I believe in the power of disruption. Because it's the only thing that can break through these systems that are so intractable and so cemented. Entrenched, yes. And especially because Nigerians are so well managed. Everything is managed.
Nigerians can take anything.
Yeah, we can take it. We'll make it work. Somehow we will make it work. But they have said, that spark, and now there's these uprisings that are happening, and I'm just so hopeful, because I think a lot of people, it can go so many different ways, but I think it's shaking up that place. And I don't think it's far beyond police brutality. I mean, that's just the spark. That's just a symptom of broader systemic issues. But I actually think that in the broader scale of what's happening on the continent, that what happens in Nigeria will open up the eyes of the systems that have governed all of these countries in Africa, all of them, and the issues that they have, to really figuring out and seeing what the root cause of the issues, what are those root causes? And also the fact that we have everything that we need to address these issues now.
Yeah.
Because it's always been the sense of, Africa has to, we're calling the West, we're calling this people, that people come and help us.
Intervene, yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, like
Yeah.
the moment we realize that we have everything that we need, it's just like an individual. We have all the gifts and talents. We were born with those things.
Yeah.
And it's our responsibility to now use them for whatever our purpose is.
Yeah.
But you have to realize that you have it and that you have the agency to use it.
Yeah.
And so as a continent,
Mm-hmm.
we have to realize that we have everything we need internally. We already have it.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to feel confident enough in what we've been given to make it work in a way that works for the people, that is fair, that is just, that is equitable, that is humane. We have what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that that's what comes out of this. I don't know what's going to happen in Nigeria. I encourage, because I believe, justice, no matter where you are, that principle will cause me to support the people, regardless of the state, regardless of that notion of justice. I'll support it, but I'm hoping that it scales up to where we use this as something that'll start to shift the direction of the continent. I mean, Nigeria is the giants of Africa.
The giants of Africa, yeah. Mm-hmm.
As Nigeria goes, so goes.
Yeah. That's very good. There was something you wrote on Twitter that I was reading earlier today. You talked about, people calling for the West, people to come and help us. You're like, the people that were part of the problems in the first place, and they are benefiting from the problem. You are calling them to intervene. That it's time for us as Africans to rise up and really solve this problem on our own. Yes. Of course, all support is needed, but the initiative started from there. The resilience has to continue from there, and the solution has to come from there. It cannot come from the outside. And I just want to use this moment, because I know people are watching from Nigeria, once again, to send our support, prayers, and solidarity to the youth and the people of Nigeria for the fight that they have gotten into to bring about the transformation of that nation. Yes. When we were in Nigeria, we used to fight when we were in college. I was part of those people, who was on the streets fighting for the military to leave Nigeria when there was coup after coup. Mm-hmm. And I remember the massacre that took place yesterday. I was about a few minutes close to being part of someone that was killed in one of those massacres, because I was in the demonstration. I was right there on the road, stopping cars and all that. We were supposed to stay home. It was a stay-at-home thing. And I was there from morning telling people, let's fight this thing together, because we wanted the military to leave for democracy to return to Nigeria then. And then some minutes, I had gotten into it. I've been there, days and days. And that particular day, I'd been there till the afternoon. I just felt that thing you talked about, your gut. I felt so uncomfortable inside myself. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what, I just need to go. So I left. I just turned and I left. And just walked that way on top of a bridge, walked down the bridge. And the next thing I heard was machine gunshot. And a lot of the people that were there, and I would have been the first person shot, because I was one of the that would go talk to people in the car. Some people opened the door. There were military personnel and all that. They opened their window from the car and they shot everyone.
Wow.
So when I saw what happened yesterday, because that's some years, ago, I remember the next day when I saw in the newspapers the faces of people, their bodies, man that were there with me on that day. I was reading it. I wrote a poem that day. I still remember that poem. They are killing us like chickens and all that. It was like, so I really, really empathize and stand with the people of Nigeria at this moment. We're praying for you, and we're joining you in Chicago. You spoke. I was sharing the video of where you spoke on in Chicago here in solidarity this Saturday.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we had a couple of protests that were organized by Chicago Nigerians. There, just so many people came together on last Wednesday. There were two, and then there's one on last Saturday, and then there's another one this Saturday that will also be a vigil. As well. So just really trying to mobilize ourselves and what we can do from here, what we can do in Chicago to amplify what's happening at home, to lift people up, and to speak
Yeah.
speak about, because we all have our own stories of going home and
Yeah.
our experiences,
Yes. Yes.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. So it needs to change. And
Yeah.
so it was one of those things that I would have, you know, I was had a million and one other things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Then once this happened, it was just, I just knew, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
let me go and do what I can. And
Yeah.
so that's what we've been trying to do.
And I'm so proud of my. I have a lot of pastor friends, mentors, and all that in Nigeria. I've been reading, I've been watching, like what they are doing. They are doing amazing stuff. I just want to send a shout out to my friends there. Like one of them, Pastor Godman, he opened up his church yesterday for people that were, because the shooting was very close to his church. You know, I saw him put it up on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere. Anybody that needs a place to stay, go to our church. And I saw the pictures and videos of people lying down all over the place, sleeping in the church and all that. And they've matched themselves too, you know, all my friends there. And then my pastor is really, really mobilizing, because this is something he has been talking about for a long time. I saw that you retweeted him, you know, last week, something that he put up when he was speaking to Pastor Sam, when he was speaking to.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even connect that dot. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually surprised. I mean, you know him better, but I was like, God, they really.
Oh yeah, he's been working on it. In fact, they're using his book. It's like his book on lead. A lot of them are using it. It's like you know, what's his name? Saul Alinsky, kind of
Organized.
radical. You know, they're using it. Some of the youth, they're reading it, and because there's things he spoke about many years ago, and in those books that they are all following. And he's been at work trying to go to the lowest level of the young people for the transformation of Nigeria, and this is one of the effects of that. So I'm so glad, you know, about the role that I'm proud of him. Also, the role that is playing there, Pastor Sam, Dr. Sam Adeyemi.
Yeah.
So we'll send our support to Nigeria. Keep fighting. Don't get into, you know, like destroying properties. You know, that's the wrong thing, because the properties that you are destroying, the people that you are trying, the power structure you are trying to fight against, they're not the ones that are going to suffer from destroying somebody's store and all that. Because I noticed that some of those things, you know, I was reading that those things are beginning to happen. No, direct it. Don't diffuse that energy. Direct it in the right, you know, in the right direction, and the right result will come out of it. But don't get into destruction, and then everybody will start fighting one another. Don't lose focus.
Yes.
Keep you know, just keep focus and keep doing it. Something is on the other side. So,
yes. Focus on the elected officials in Nigeria.
Yeah, you know, tweet at them, do whatever. Something is going to happen. There's no backing down.
Yes.
It's going to be good. Wow, awesome. So let's round it up right now.
Sure.
Talking about that. So give me your big picture, like for life, for your wife, what you see, you know, like 10 years, 20 years from now. And then I would like you to go to talk about 5 principles that you have learned in your life that that you feel has helped you and that can help the people that are watching us.
Yes. So a big picture, you know, I've never done long-term forecasting. I always, for whatever reason, I've never feature casted. But I do think that I feel like I'm sort of ascending in what my scope of influence will be. And the influence is for a purpose. Like, it's not for me to, you know, be influential. But I just think that I feel like there are tools that I'm honing at each step of my process that will allow me to get to a place where I can really have impact. And I definitely think it's beyond now. It's national, it's international. I feel like that's the space. Even though, doing things locally for sure, but I just see myself as being able to have broader impact as I take each step. And so I've been really focused on just having that sensitivity to know which steps to take, which opportunities to take, when to fall back, when to move, and to be aware so that I don't miss opportunities and miss where I'm supposed to go. So, and I'm not sure, I don't know if it's political space and a politics. I'm not really sure, but in spite of my past experience, I'm open to whatever.
Yeah.
whatever
it's in front of you. Yeah.
Yes.
Somewhere it will all come together. It
Yes.
could be the Senate, it could be the House, it could be the presidency, it could be,
Who knows?
Yeah, Secretary General of the UN. So one thing about our wives, and I was reading that because I'm working on a curriculum, a new leading light curriculum called Purpose in the Workplace. So I was studying some books, and I came across a statement last week where it was Simon Sinek who wrote, Find Your Why, and what was it? Something about why. So, but Find Your Why is where I was reading, and he was talking about the why, that once you discover your why can play in various settings.
Yes.
So your why can play in Chicago. Your why can, like maybe mayoral stuff. You can go into House, you can go into Senate, you can go into President, you can go into UN Secretary General, you can go into, so the why is a very versatile thing.
Yes.
So that's one thing that, I was like, wow, that is awesome, man. Because some people wonder why they are wise. For example, I have a wonder too that my why will be, can work in this nation, can work in this area, work in like now I'm doing media now. It's out of my comfort zone. What I'm doing now is this pandemic that push me to be doing this. So the book starts with why and also find your why. So basically the why is very versatile.
Yes.
So somewhere along the line, your why. You know that your true why is service. You want to improve the lives of people and places, through your policies, through information, through organization, through all those things that God has given you, and that will fall in different places until you get to that place where it's going to make the maximum impact. So the key is just to continue moving on. So tell us the principles, 5 principles for.
Yes. So I had to jot them down. So the first principle that I had is service, because that just characterizes, that's the feeling that I have is just to serve. Like there's no other motivation that I feel. So in service of people and however I can be helpful. So that's a principle that undergirds everything that I do. The second is integrity. I just believe that there has to be alignment between your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions, your values. There's got to be alignment there. And that consistency is, the integrity, there's consistency in action. So you'll know when something seems out of character for me because I'm pretty consistent, and folks will know that I tend to align my thoughts, my actions, what I do, what I get involved with. There's alignment there. And I believe that integrity is important because it'll help, especially when in difficult environments or where you're battling, media or, that integrity and consistency is what will speak for you. The third is honesty. And when I say honesty, I'm also saying honesty / authenticity. I believe you have to be true to yourself first and foremost. You have to know who you are. You have to be honest with yourself.
What's that you're saying that you love so much? Be true to thyself.
To thine own self be
true.
And it follows as the night, the day, thou canst not then be false to any man.
Yes.
I firmly believe that. And it's just easy. It takes a lot of energy to be dishonest and inauthentic.
Because you have to invent stuff,
Yeah.
How
that work.
just be yourself.
Yes. Just be yourself and, everyone find their level.
You have to be creative.
I have the energy. It's exhausting thinking about it. So, yes, honesty, authenticity is the third. The fourth is hard work. I just, that's again, we came up where hard work and discipline were very much part of our upbringing. And you have to work hard, even when you're aligned, even when you're spiritually in tune, even when, you know, you're doing all the things right, you still have to work hard to get to whatever ends you're seeking. And so that's never going to change. And I think just being honest about working hard is, you know, that's a principle for me. And then the last one is, last but not least, is grace. And again, this has been in the last few years, especially, grace is just it's the ultimate principle to live by for me. It's how I engage myself and how I see myself and how I treat myself and how I treat other people, how I view the world. The grace factor, I think, I actually think it's one of the most underrated and missing, especially in this era of social media and silos and polarization. We're missing that basic element of grace for each other as human beings, and is deserving of just grace. And that is a principle that has emerged because of a lot of the hardships and the difficulties that I've experienced. It's actually emerged as the most important principle to me.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Talking about grace, are you, in your political persuasions, or maybe generally, are you like the consensus kind of a person, or the, destroy everything? Let me give you an example. I was watching that Supreme Court nomination, and then at the end, when Dan Feinstein went to hug, what's his name? The South Carolina guy.
Not McConnell. Graham? Is it Lindsey Graham?
Yes, Lindsey Graham. They went to hug him and say, you've conducted this thing in a very good way and whatever and all that. Now she's going through a lot. People are telling her, remove her and all that. Why can't she hug? So, which I like the hug. I'm like, wow, they are actually hugging. Wow, thank God. I was watching this, I was reading a blog yesterday. I saw a governor and the other one, and the person running against him, they cut a hat together from different parties. They cut a hat together. And, they talked about the things they believe together and all. I was like, wow, this is amazing. We don't see all that a lot. So which side are you? Are you destroyer?
I would have slapped him no, I'm just kidding. No, I would not have slapped him. I would say I actually think so. I'm very, very, people who know me know I'm very firm in my beliefs, but I also exist in the space of nuance. And that allows me to see across difference, so that there's some things that we can at least engage on, or at a basic level treat each other cordially or humanely. So I'm more of a person of nuance. I just don't think that there's much. You can be very productive when you just choose to yell from your corner. That really, like, the whole policy making, law making, change is in the grappling on the mat, not us yelling at each other from corners. You won't even know yourself if you don't grapple on the mat. And I think some of it is fear of the grappling and of the sort of the messiness and the nuance that you don't want to engage, maybe because perhaps there are some things about what you believe or what your stances that haven't been vetted. So I'm much more of a nuanced type.
Very good. We're losing that. We should debate our ideas vigorously. Bring your point, say it, and all that. Everybody do that. But we are humans. We are Americans. We are Nigeria, whatever nation we're from. We have some commonalities, and we might be on different sides when it comes to policy, but really we're not on different sides. If somebody attacks us from space now, everybody will become another planet comes now.
Very we're all on the same team now.
All of us will become, we become human. We become one party. Despite all the differences, I know that's one of my desires. I love politics. I read politics every day. I watch politics. I'm into blogs and all that. But the cry of my heart is I just wish that we can have more consensus. We can have more both hand people rather than either or people.
Yeah.
People who can bring this and say, okay, let's work, let's compromise here, and let's keep moving forward. Like someone said, it takes two wings for the eagle to fly.
Yeah.
The left wing and the right wing. So
yeah.
if the nation goes right, it's going to crash. If the nation goes to left, it's going to crash. We need both. We need something from here, something from here, and all that. And we debate all the other stuff, and we become a more perfect union as we move on. So that's my philosophy, and I'm just asking you, when God gives you, as He's giving you more opportunities and all that to speak, please don't forget to speak to that.
Yes,
we are in a wounded nation, and a lot of wrong has happened, and all that. The nation needs healing. The nation needs reconciliation. The nation needs peace, and we need to have peacemakers, not rabble rousers and people that keep causing more and more problems. It's right now. It's like we have like Tinder, like it's that's the way things that you throw. Just explode.
Yeah.
So we need people that can keep the temperature down. And it's a shame that a lot of our politicians and leaders and all that, they are not interested in that, at this moment. So please, God has called you into that arena. Don't lose that. I know you are like that. I just ask you, but don't lose that. Be a peacemaker, be a consensus builder, be a uniter, and God is going to be with you. The sky is not your limit. There's still a lot ahead of you. So final question. So what's happening now? Where's the guy? We are going to go there. So
I should have known.
What's happening to him? Where is he?
Well, I'm kind of chill. I mean, not for lack of options.
Yes.
Well, it's never for lack of options, but I feel good. I'm kind of chill only because just like everything else, you have to have your eyes open and be aware. And when
is there a proper Niger mentor, I have to ask that question. We have gone through different permutations and combinations of this and everything.
Yes. But at least there's an openness there, and I'm actually, you have to be aware, and you don't want to miss opportunities. So it's just a matter of the opportunities presenting themselves, or I don't say themselves.
What's happening to the guys? You have all the options. Are they crazy guys, or what is happening?
No, they're actually not. I think they're actually good. Like I actually have not had bad experiences. I'm just just hanging out. Yeah.
Are you available now? Are you available for there's a guy that is watching now? or you're not available?
No, I okay. Well, I am. Okay. I am. So at least
I'm a good guy.
Pardon?
From your perspective, who's a good guy from your perspective?
You just have to be confident. You have to know who you are. I think so much of what trips people up is like insecurities or internal issues that only you can resolve.
Yeah.
You've just got to know who you are, and you've got to be comfortable and confident in who you are. If you have that basis, obviously, the others, family.
You are tall.
What? Okay, well, I am 5'11", basically, and 5'10" and 3/4 without heels on. So just keep that in mind. Just so you know.
Yeah, so you have to be comfortable, right? For those who are scared of heights, just come and do away with your fears.
Or get some high, some shoes with a high heel on.
Okay. Awesome. So please, guys, especially African, Nigerian guys, please check her out. So how can we reach you? People that want to know more about you or follow the work you are doing, tell us.
Yeah, so I'm on all social media. So Amara Enyia on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And I also have a website, amaraenyia.com. So I'm pretty active on all the social media platforms. So they can find me, causing trouble on there.
Okay, awesome. So please follow her, check out, send her a question, talk to her. And if the Lord has spoken to you, intuition, your guts that you can handle, please reach out to her or reach out to me, So we will.
Yeah, they can go to you and then you
Yes.
and then
Yes, and then we'll do all the connections. So
yes, indeed.
yeah, all the Igbo protocol,
They better be ready.
Yes.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. You're not just gonna come and plug and go. You have to be ready. So
Yeah.
all right. So we look forward to that. So Amara, thank you so much. This has been such a wonderful discussion. I've really, really, really enjoyed this, and we're going to do more of it.
Yes.
I'm waiting for your book to come out. We've been talking about this book forever.
Yeah. No, it's in process. There are actually 2.
Okay. Yeah.
There are 2 that are in process as we speak.
Yeah,
so
very good. Awesome. So I look forward to the books. The good
coming.
Yeah.
Well, somebody said, "Oh yeah, go and Palma." Yes.
Good.
You know.
All right. So thank you so much for your time, Amara. This is almost 2 hours. Can you imagine? We talked for 1 hour, 1 minute.
Well,
it was really flowing.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. So everybody, thanks for joining us. They appreciate it, So thanks, and people are also on Instagram too. So thank you everybody for joining us. Please reach out to Amara, and I hope you've been blessed by our story. I'll be back again tomorrow, 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time, 7 p.m. GMT with another story. This week we're focusing on powerful women. Next week we're going to do all men alone. So another powerful woman story tomorrow. So bye-bye from Amara and I. Guys, we'll see you guys later.